Everybody good? Well, let me just say, I think it's a great day for Baltimore. Our consent decree has been signed. I was up this morning, I think I was up at 5 a.m. this morning actually running, but at 7 a.m. doing interviews as to whether or not I thought that the DOJ would, that the judge would sign the consent decree. And what I said was that I was hopeful because I believe that what we put together was right for Baltimore and certainly right for our police department. And that we were committed, as I said to you all the other day, of moving this consent decree forward. So I think this is a great victory for the citizens of Baltimore as well as for our police department. And having said that, I'm open for questions.
What's next step?
Well, the next step is that we've got to put together the community oversight group, and then we'll be in the process of looking for our independent monitor. We're looking forward to that and moving forward.
You anticipate that the selection of the independent monitor requires the Department of Justice participation. What are you looking at now, considering their posture, which continues today to be opposed? What are you expecting on that in that regard?
Well, let me just say they've been participating thus far. I expect that they will continue to participate. I think one of the things that they pointed out, even in their response, is that Baltimore, deserves a great police department, and they look forward to working with us. I know that their concerns around our crime problem are real, and I just don't think that, I believe that we can do both together, that a reformed police department, trust by the community in this process, I think will make a difference down the road in terms of us reducing crime in our city. Providing the right kinds of tools and protection for our police department is important, but providing the oversight for our community is important. And so I think that we're headed in the right direction, and I expect their full cooperation.
I have a couple questions, and maybe the city solicitor can help on this.
Surely.
One is, have you had any conversations about what specifically in the consent decree the Attorney General takes issue with or finds problematic? Do you think there are ways in which, you referenced this yesterday, there is opportunity for amending the decree under a mechanism that is existing therein? And do you think, or can, the DOJ appeal this approval from the judge?
Okay. Let me start by answering your...
Excuse me, sir.
Come through the phone.
Sure.
The cameras, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me start by answering your last question first. I don't want to speculate as to what they can and will do. In terms of a mechanism for amending the consent decree, as I said, that is called for in the consent decree. There is a way to do that. If there is, in practice, any problem with actually implementing a provision of the consent decree. So there is a mechanism for that already. And what was your first question?
Have you spoken with the Sessions administration about any specific problems?
So no, we have been in contact with them. They have not identified any particular problem. We are open to consider whatever issues they may have, and those lines of communication are open.
Is the mechanism therein one by which the DOJ could unilaterally call for changes?
No, there are no unilateral changes. It's an agreement like most agreements. It requires the consent of both sides.
When do you expect I guess there has to be an RFP that's put together for the independent monitor. When do you expect that? And does that come from the city of Baltimore, or does that come from the court?
It comes from the city of Baltimore, working with our...
It's working with the Department of Justice,
Yes.
which we've been working with
Yeah,
them.
we've already been doing
When do you
it.
expect that will be extended?
I can't say for sure, but it's something that we have been working on with the Department of Justice, and we believe now that the consent decree has been entered, that we'll be finalizing it soon.
Now that the council president is here, would you like to step up there and offer your comment on the signing of this?
Well, we're happy and excited, citizens of Baltimore, along with the mayor. We have worked on this for, over a year, and we're happy that the judge saw fit to move this forward, because in order for us to build trust between the police and the community, we have to get this consent decree done, because the citizens participate in it, and we expect for the police department to be a world-class police department when we finish.
Council President, it's been 2 years since the Freddie Gray case. Do you
you think that Baltimore is in a better or worse place now than it was then?
Well, I'll say this. Baltimore has been through many crises, and Baltimore has always come back, and I'll leave it at that.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Can I ask for, Mayor, your reaction to the charges against Senator Oaks?
I don't know what the charges are. But you know how I feel about any charges against anybody. I think anybody's innocent until proved otherwise.
Council President?
I don't have information other than what I've heard, but he's a personal friend of mine, and, you know, I stand with my friend.
Mayor, if we just ask one more question back to the consent decree. You've spoken a lot about having federal support to pay for reforms. How does that happen when you have the other party very clearly opposed to what's happening?
But what they've said, and I'll read it, it says the Department of Justice stands ready to work with Baltimore to fight violent crime and improve policing in the city. And what we're talking about, especially the hardware piece, is technology that will improve policing in the city. And that's what we will be looking for federal dollars and assistance to do. Because we realize that some of the technology that exists today can be upgraded. And while we are already in the process of putting body cameras on our police force, we certainly could use more. So I expect them to work with us on the hardware, really.
I think you have said in so many words that you believe this will make Baltimore safer, but the Attorney General was very specific in saying that he was concerned that this deal will actually make Baltimore less safe.
Well,
Obviously, you're no stranger to the rising crime in the city. What do you say to that specifically?
Well, you can say a few words, but let me just say, here's how I see it. I believe that it makes Baltimore safer. I think it restores the trust in the community for the police. I think by building and training our police officers in ways to de-escalate violence, to work with our communities, to have cultural diversity training, to have the right kind of tools that they need in order to know what they can do in certain areas of our community, just to be able to have the technology inside of the cars that they don't have today. I think this has improved policing. It helps to protect them as well as to provide the tools necessary for our community. Go ahead.
If I could just add one more point to this. Our consent decree, the consent decree in Baltimore, is different than other consent decrees. And the way it originated was different. It was something where we brought the Department of Justice in. As we collaborated in working on the consent decree, we had the benefit of all the other consent decrees that were out there. We looked at the things that worked and the things that didn't work. We looked at the things that we thought might affect policing. As part of the negotiating team, we had our deputy police commissioner as part of that team. So our consent decree, I think one shouldn't look at it as
Punitive.
as certainly as a punitive thing, and they shouldn't look at it as you know, as the other agreements that are out there. This consent decree is a consent decree that was designed specifically for the city of Baltimore and the needs particular to our city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, we're gonna